One of the biggest trends in travel today is for visitors to connect with the locals' way of life, not only in the present, but also in the past. It's called heritage tourism. Niagara USA is proud to be home to the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area and Erie Canal National Heritage Corridor, areas designated by Congress for their significant role in shaping the history of the United States and the world. Now, since 1683, Niagara USA has been written in the pages of history, when Father Louis Hennepin of France observed the falls and provided the world with the first written account of its dramatic landscape. Today on EXP Niagara, we will highlight our attractions and communities that continue to tell the story of our past. Welcome to Niagara USA, home to history. In 1759, English writer Arthur Young called Fort Niagara the key to the whole continent because of its strategic location in Youngstown, where the Niagara River meets Lake Ontario. The fort was founded by the French in 1726 and saw active duty during the French and Indian War, the American Revolution, and the War of 1812. It continued to serve well into the 20th century, making it perhaps the longest continuously occupied military post in the United States. Between 1925 and 1934, Old Fort Niagara was restored and opened as a historic site in Youngstown for everyone to enjoy. Visitors can step back in time to the 18th century, touring original buildings that are the oldest in the Great Lakes Basin. The three-story French castle, built in 1726, offers living history programs like battle reenactments, musket and cannon firings, and demonstrations of daily life 250 years ago. The fort's visitor center has exhibits, artifacts, an award-winning film, and the fort's War of 1812 flag. In 1825, the Erie Canal changed U.S. history when it connected Lake Erie with the Hudson River, opening up trade between the eastern seaboard and spurring development through New York State and westward beyond the Appalachian Mountains. Here in Lockport, a series of locks were built that raised and lowered ships 60 feet through 5 stages, known as the Flight of Five, built to accommodate the landscape of the Niagara Escarpment, the same landscape that creates Niagara Falls. Today, the Flight of Five locks have been restored after nearly 100 years of being inactive. At the Erie Canal Discovery Center, visitors can learn more about the early days of the canal and be transported back in time to experience it as it once was when it opened through interactive exhibits and a multidimensional orientation film. Niagara USA was a pathway to freedom. Before the American Civil War, escaping slaves from the South were routed on the Underground Railroad and passed through the Niagara frontier because of the proximity to freedom in Canada. They would cross the Niagara River on their final leg of this long and treacherous journey. Pieces of Underground Railroad history are still seen all throughout Niagara USA, like Murphy Orchards, located in the town of Burt. It has been said that escaping slaves were kept safe there on their journey to the Niagara River. Today, it is recognized as a Network to Freedom site for its Underground Railroad legacy. The house, barn, and orchards remain virtually as they were when built 150 years ago, offering an authentic setting for sharing the history of the Underground Railroad. The Freedom Crossing Monument, located on the lower Niagara River's banks in the village of Lewiston, is a symbol of Niagara USA's role in the Underground Railroad, as it honors both the fugitives who risked their lives seeking freedom and the volunteer citizens of Lewiston that helped them escape by taking them across the Niagara River by boat to Canada. Can you imagine the falls with mills and factories surrounding it? Well, during the Industrial Revolution of the early 19th century, the natural beauty was compromised as these businesses harnessed the river for power. Thanks to a small group of early environmentalists, the Free Niagara movement was founded during the 1860s, urging New York State to reclaim the falls. In 1885, a law was made to do just that. Frederick Law Olmsted, who also designed New York City's Central Park, led the charge and designed Niagara Falls State Park with a vision of preserving its natural beauty and welcoming the public for years to come. That vision continues today, with nearly $70 million in upgrades to the park. To learn more about the history of the falls through the stories, myths, and legends, go see the movie Niagara Legends of Adventure in the Niagara Adventure Theater located in the State Park Visitor Center, or take the Niagara Falls Historic Preservation Society's Powerful People, Powerful Places historic walking tour of downtown Niagara Falls. In the 1880s, inventors Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse combined their skills to utilize Tesla's new technology called alternating current, or AC, to transmit electricity across long distances. They harnessed the power of the mighty Niagara River and started electrifying the world in 1895, when the first hydroelectric power plant opened right here in Niagara Falls. Today, Tesla's popular statue can be seen on Goat Island, but you can learn more about how hydroelectric power is produced 4 miles downriver at the Niagara Power Plant Power Vista, an attraction that includes state-of-the-art interactive exhibits educating visitors on the region's hydroelectric history, not to mention its spectacular view of the Niagara Gorge. History goes round in North Tonawanda, on the Carrousel, that is. During the 1870s, North Tonawanda began making carousels, changing amusement rides forever and the way the world learned to have fun. The city is now known as the home of the carousel, and the Herschell Carousel Factory Museum is one of the last existing complexes which house the production of wooden carousels. There, visitors can ride on vintage carousels, see the carousel carving area, and listen to an original Wurlitzer band organ, also produced in North Tonawanda. Here it played at the Riviera Theater nearby on Webster Street. The Carousel Museum also added the Kiddieland Testing Park exhibit with rides made by Herschell during the 1950s. These rides were actually tested by neighborhood kids before they were shipped out. If you've ever experienced the thrill of an amusement park ride, chances are it's tied to Herschell. So send visitors to a museum that they can actually ride. Now, one last bit of history to share. Did you know that Niagara USA made significant contributions to aviation history? America's first jet, first commercial helicopter, and first supersonic plane were all developed here. Learn more about Niagara USA's role in aviation at the Niagara Aerospace Museum located next to the Niagara Falls International Airport. You are now an expert on Niagara USA's significant role in the American story. Share this story with our visitors by sending them to all of the great places you learned about today. See you next time on EXP Niagara.